The Paranormal Ecto News Flash with Cody from the Southwest Ghost Hunters Association.
One of the strangest ghost stories of the Old West was that of a mysterious beast with a skeletal rider called the Red Ghost. This is your Ecto News Flash, and I'm Cody Polston.
You'll believe that we're not alone.
The story begins back in 1883 in a lonely ranch around Eagle Creek in southeastern Arizona. The Apache Wars had been drawing to a close. Even so, one or two renegade groups had been on the prowl, keeping isolated ranches in a continuous state of duress. Early one morning, several men rode out to examine the cattle, leaving their wives on the ranch with all of the children. Around mid-morning, one of the women went down towards the spring to get a bucket of water, while her mother, Anne, stayed inside the house with the children. All of a sudden, one of the dogs started to bark ferociously. As Anne rushed towards the window, she heard a horrifying scream. Gazing out the window, she noticed an enormous, reddish-hued animal, operated by a devilish-looking person strapped on its back. The terrified woman barricaded herself inside the house and anxiously waited for the men to come back. That evening, they identified the body of Anne's daughter. She had been trampled to death. The following day, the tracks were found, cloven hoof prints larger than those of a horse, as well as long strands of reddish-colored hair. Several days later, a party of prospectors near Clifton were awakened by the sound of thundering hooves and ear-piercing screams. Their tent collapsed, and the men clawed their way out of the mess just in time to view an enormous beast running away in the moonlight. The following day, they also discovered the large cloven hoof prints and long reddish strands of hair in the brush nearby.
Part 2 of today's Ecto News Flash, The Red Ghost, will continue next.
You will believe that we're not alone. The Paranormal Ecto News Flash with Cody from the Southwest Ghost Hunters Association.
And now the conclusion to the Red Ghost.
Of course, these stories grew and were embellished by the local people. One man said he saw the creature kill and eat a grizzly bear, yet another was adamant that he pursued the Red Ghost only to have it vanish right before his eyes. Several months later, Cyrus Hamblin, a rancher on the Salt River, rode up on the animal while rounding up cattle. Hamblin identified the beast as a camel, with something tied to its back that looked like a skeleton of a man. Even though Hamblin had the reputation as a truthful man, many refused to believe his account. Many weeks later, across the Verde River, the camel had been seen again, this time by a different group of prospectors. They too witnessed something attached to the animal's back. Grabbing their guns, they fired at the camel but missed. The animal bolted and ran, making a piece of its strange rider fall to the ground. What the miners discovered chilled them to the bone. On the ground lay a human skull with some parts of flesh and hair still attached. Around a year later, a cowboy near Phoenix came upon the Red Ghost eating grass in a corral. He constructed a fast loop in his rope and threw it over the camel's head. Instantly, the irritated creature turned and charged. The cowboy's horse attempted to avoid, but with no success. Horse and rider went down as the camel galloped off in a cloud of dust. The surprised cowboy recognized the skeletal remains of a man lashed to its back. Throughout the years to come, tales of the Red Ghost grew to legendary proportions. The beast made its final appearance 9 years later in eastern Arizona. A rancher woke up one morning and observed the huge creature casually grazing in the garden. He carefully took aim with his dependable Winchester and dropped the beast with one shot. An examination of the corpse convinced all that this was certainly the legendary Red Ghost. The animal's back had been seriously scarred from rawhide strips which had been used to tie down the body of a man. Some of the leather strands had cut into the camel's flesh, but exactly how the human body had become attached to the back of the camel continues to be a mystery. Historians have theorized that probably the man was tied to the camel as some sort of revenge for wrongdoings, or perhaps he was a Union soldier that had been tied to the animal by the Confederate intruders from Camp Verde. Whoever he was, he and the Red Ghost have found their way into America's strange history. If you'd like to learn more, please check us out online at ghostpatrolwithdonovan.com and my site, ghosthuntingbadass.com.
You will believe that we're not alone.
Another Donovan Creative production.